obviously have players who show the potential to have very flexible god pulls, and that's exactly the biggest advantage that My Guys has at this point in time. They're a very experienced team now, and the fact is all of these players are so confident with each other and have so much synergy lined up already that it just makes it more than easy enough to adapt to any situation.
They've been absolutely killing it on basically whatever you give them. Zeus is going to be the first pick here. No Susano ban, but Strictly Business do ban away the Awilish and the Ymir. So Covey going to be able to have that Zeus in the mid lane. Xing Chen, the first pick on the backside here for SB. And Bastet for Reminisced. Interesting. May as well just throw something new at My Guys, right? And see if they can handle it.
I'm not going to lie, though. That's pretty scary, considering Bastet, sure, she recently saw a buff, but Bastet clear facing up against Susanoo Zeus. That's not exactly what I would call an ideal situation, especially considering that your solo laner or support potential is looking at the Xing 10. Also another god who tends to struggle early, and Odin being the third choice for My Guys. Strictly in Business feeling confident though, and choosing to lock in the Isis.
Yeah, the Isis into the Odin. A little bit of a curious decision. Usually you'll see mid laners stray away from that Isis up against the Odin because, yeah, circle protection's great. You get protection and a big heal whenever you pop it, but can't heal inside that Odin cage, and Odin really doesn't care about your protections. He's going to kill you once he's locked you in there, especially when it's Wolves. Strictly Business looking to ban out Brochacho, a couple Guardian bans, whereas My Guys, they're looking at Keji with the Medusa and the Apollo. It leaves open the Rom. It's going to be the pick for the rookie hunter into the SCL.
There is already so much early game potential this time around from My Guys, and this is a very strong draft. I am not even surprised to see the Amus and Cobb being the hunter option locked in for Transonics, because when you have a Khepri, there is already so much survivability possible to make up for the lack of mobility that AMC has. And then when you combine that alongside of the Odin, Zeus, and Susanoo ultimates, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Strictly Business to find the proper engagements to really play around the draft for My Guys.
Once upon a time, when you see the AMC locked in, you're like, okay, they're trolling. They're feeling themselves a little bit too much potentially. In Season 4, that really isn't the case. With how isolated duo lanes can really be, AMC has the potential to get the farm necessary to withstand the ganks from the junglers. And like you mentioned, especially with the protection of a Guardian like Khepri, we could really see Transonics take this immobile ADC and make a big impact with it.
And realistically, AMC is actually probably the best hunter in the game as far as 1v1 boxing is concerned. So should Strictly Business opt to leave Keji alone in that duel lane with Transonics, I would imagine that he would find the upper hand in the majority of those trades, because as a ROM, it's incredibly difficult trying to fight into AMC's abilities.
See My Guys all huddle up there in the middle lane and then call the play and then break apart, courtesy of that. You see them doing that because of the Khepri passive, applying a shield to all of his teammates. So that does have a fairly short duration, so that will fall off in just a little bit. My Guys, again, sitting right on top of North America right now with a dominating win in game number 1 up against their opposition, who is the number 2 team in NA right now. But My Guys looking to secure that number 1 seed going into LAN. And they've got the characters to do it. A lot of comfort picks on the side of My Guys. And SB, they drafted early pressure last time around. They've got a little bit of that with the Isis. Bellona can be a pressure god in lane at times as well, but overall, a little bit more mid-game oriented with this draft, I would say.
And immediately, My Guys making the rotation into Strictly Business jungle, really wanting to fight this out already. And if anything, the early game only favors them.
Love the chain lightning there from Covey as he secured that speed buff and hits level 2. Chilvanis in a lot of trouble. Chaotic Purpose trying to chase down the enemy support. One more attack should do it, and Covey gonna find that first blood. Shout out to the speed buff that allows him to close the gap. Teep still trying to get away. One more auto. Chaotic Purpose. Stormkata should be up off cooldown very, very shortly, but instead My Guys just turn around and kill Reminisced. This is not the start Strictly Business wanted. Again, the mid and the jungler for My Guys started off and put My Guys ahead right off the bat, 2-0 early on here.
An incredibly smart target focus by My Guys there, recognizing that Isis was just out. She was going to be
Yeah.
able to escape. Chaotic Purpose was still level 1. He just wasn't going to be able to find the in-hands or dash up close enough to secure the kill. So might as well just turn around onto that Bastet who doesn't have her jump available. I mean, he even expended his beads in an attempt to escape from the clutches of Brochacho, but by then it was already too late. Kobe had stacked up the charges onto the Bastet, and it just ultimately, you can't really fight outside of that, and just gonna die every time.
That's what I mean. I mean, you're invading against Khepri Zeus in the mid lane and Susanoo Odin on the right side. Yes, you have Isis, but in every other character is worse than their counterpart, I would say. You could make the argument that Nickwood on this Bellona is a little bit stronger at the level 1 and 2 than Wolves on the Odin, but I'd much rather have that Susanoo. I would much rather have that Khepri. And so my guy's obviously willing to take the fight. And that could go very, very differently if Strictly Business are able to secure that speed buff, but no burst damage coming out of Bastet. That the real damage she's providing is the dot, so she's not able to secure the speed buff, which allows Kobe to hit level 2. And then he picks up the speed, which allows him to close the gap and pick up that first blood.
Just a complete series of unfortunate defense for the side of Strictly Business. And as we saw on the other side of the map, Transonics is already feeling himself on this AMC. You don't exactly imagine AMC to be wanting to play that aggressively, pushing up to the tower line of Keji. Just no concerns in the world, trying to exert as much lane pressure as possible. And I mean, he has the freedom to do so. There's really nobody on the side of Strictly Business who could possibly rotate over and punish him for it.
And that's because of the pressure that they've drafted in the mid lane with that Zeus, with that Khepri. We're talking about how the protection from Khepri can help out Transonics in his immobility, but really you could also look at the push power from Khepri protects Transonics in a more aggressive way. Not there with the Hunter in the duo lane, but helping him out regardless, just by helping his mid lane secure that pressure.
And my primary concern for Strictly Business is watching Chaotic Purpose again on the Susanoo and another engagement into the mid lane. Kobe going to secure Mr. Teep right away.
The Detonate and the Lightning Storm combination just too strong. The Purification Beads can't save the life of the mid laner, Mr. Teep. And my guys extend their kill lead up to 3-0. Only have about 1,000 gold, so certainly not a game that you can put in the books quite yet, but very, very strong out of the gates here for my guys once again.
I almost would have preferred Strictly Business to opt for an early Aegis in comparison to the beads on the side of Reminisce and Mr. T, because you know that you're going to be facing off against Kobe as Zeus. You know that you're facing off against a Susanoo along with the Zeus. So you might as well just do as much as possible to try and neutralize that Zeus damage, because Kobe is going to be the one looking for the detonates to try and pick up these kills the hardest. And considering how much pressure they're able to exert with their mid-jungle composition, I mean, Aegis was probably the smarter move to make here.
I agree with you. I mean, normally when you're looking at, okay, well, Zeus is in the mid lane, but the enemy team has a Hunbats or a Thor or something that I need to have purification against. Susanoo doesn't fit that bill for me. Susanoo, you can really flex with the Aegis or the purification beads. And with how heavily reliant Kobe is on the Zeus, on the burst damage, I agree with you. I think the Aegis could have definitely helped out, as well as helping against Wolves. And you could say, well, they'll get Aegis level 12. I don't think Mr. Teep hit level 12 in game 1, so you can't always count on that second relic really helping you out in the mid to late game.
And it's looking like game number 2 might unfortunately be going the same way. Kobe already with a 2-level lead over Mr. Teep, and it's only just begun, and the invade is coming through again for my guys. They really want to pressure out Mr. Teep here.
Speed buff stolen away. Kobe with the Lightning Storm doesn't have the detonate quite yet, can't quite finish off the mid laner, but Chilvanis locked in that Odin cage. Great Khepri revive there from Brochacho, saves the life of his mid laner. Reminisce jumps forward, applies the bleed, and picks up the mid, but pays for it with his life. Chaotic Purpose answers back for his teammate, picks up his second kill. Nickwood hits the 3-man bludgeon and is able to put down the Susanoo, but does ultimately fall. Another kill advantage going the way of my guys, but a good response there from SB, shutting down the 2 carries that we've really seen so far for my guys.
And such an unfortunate instance for Keji to be in. He's crippled right now. AMC could potentially have the trade, but Chilvanis with an excellent meditation and rotation. Now Transonics is actually in the one looking in a super awkward position.
Keji's got to find the snipes here. There's 1, 2, no, but the third one is good. The Declaw Can't quite hit there for Reminisced, and SB gives up the chase. Shout outs to that extra movement speed with your hives there. That's what saves Transonics and why you see Reminisced immediately turn tail and retreat. Knows he's not going to be able to catch up to the B. It's not often you get to see AMC go 1v4 into the enemy red buff and live to tell about it.
Like we mentioned earlier, he's feeling so confident right now. I mean, he's spam laughing away as he's escaping. That just goes to show how comfortable Transonics is in this duel lane right now. And really, they're not punishing him in the slightest.
Chaotic Purpose uses the purification beads there. I think he wanted to play that aggressively, where the pathing from Mr. Teep is excellent, going into the jungle instead of the safety of his tower, which really proved time and time again to be unsafe rather than safe. He was able to escape with his life. Chaotic Purpose now a little bit more vulnerable, even with the extra mobility provided to him by Susano's kit. Transonics, again, Keji surprisingly willing to box the AMC in lane. And as you mentioned, Taco, I mean, AMC is the premier 1v1 boxer as far as hunters go. Especially
considering that Transonics opted to finish off that Ninja Tabi. Combine that along with the buff that he gets from his hives and the fact that he's building into a Transcendence. Even with lifesteal, the sustain really isn't going to be enough at this stage of the game for Keji to find a winning scenario in a 1v1 trade.
Brochacho thinking about coming around the back here on a Strictly Business, but he isn't playing that Geb. He doesn't have that Cataclysm like he did in game one. A little bit more defensive oriented on this Khepri, so it's going to be up to really Chaotic Purpose and Wolves to be the initiators in this time around without that Cataclysm available to Brochacho.
The issue for Strictly Business, though, is that with every single invade, if Brochacho is there, they constantly have to remember, if we don't burst down somebody fast enough, Brochacho will save them every single time. And we saw how long that fight was extended because of the perfect Khepri ultimate coming out onto Covey. So if players are surviving for so long on my guys, it's just not favorable for Strictly Business.
Covey falling low on this invade. Keji's made the rotation, as had Transonics, Reminisce, and Teep trying to get away. Covey trying to deal with Keji and Nickwood on the backside. There's the cage, but Chilvanis is stuck, and Covey finds the kill before he falls to the damage from the Bologna. Transonics turns his attention to his Hunter counterpart as Wolves just casually dives a tier 2 tower at the 8.5-minute mark to pick up the enemy mid laner. Nickwood 1v4 gets out of that route there from Brochacho. And the rest of my guys really want to find this tanky solo laner. Chaotic Purpose eventually does so. Third kill for the Hunter. And now my guys just 1 kill away from double digits already in this game. Since they're here, they're going to proxy, but Chaotic Purpose takes a tier 2 tower shot, slowed there by Reminisce, but the revive from Brochacho is perfect, getting his jungler out of danger. My guys walk away only losing 1, killing 3, and again, stealing away the speed buff.
Transonics, though, could be in a bit of trouble here. Recognizes the rotation coming through from Strictly Business, and now he's just on the run.
Nice slow there from Reminisce. Doesn't have the kitties, though, and again, the extra movement speed provided by the hives gets Transonics out of danger. Again, outnumbered in the enemy jungle. No additional movement speed outside of those hives. No dash or jump to write home about. But AMC escapes without a death. 0, 0, and 2 for the Hunter.
Another thing, too, for Strictly Business is they're not really prioritizing trying to kill these AMC hives off the map whenever they see them. And I feel like a lot of times people tend to overlook just how much of a benefit these hives can be to AMC. Anytime you find one on the map, your goal and pure objective is just take it out every single time. And Transonics being able to plant these as efficiently as he is, I mean, that's just an ideal situation all around for an AMC.
Gold Fury started up here by my guys. Strictly Business know this is happening courtesy of that war, but the Lightning Storm is down. Spirit Ball, good attempt there by Mr. Teep, but just a little bit too late as my guys secure the first Gold Fury of the game right after the 10-minute mark. 9-3, they lead in kills. But the gold and experience difference is bigger than that. 4,700 gold and 6,500 experience. My guys in the lead substantially over Strictly Business.
That is an incredibly awkward scenario for Strictly Business to be in, but very smart response by them to immediately take out that Portal Demon, responding and securing that gold for themselves. While it's not nearly as much as a Gold Fury, at the same time, at the very least, you know, my guys aren't going to be able to pick that up.
And it's something, and that's exactly what Strictly Business need is basically anything to try and stem the bleeding here put onto them by my guys. Reminisced sitting at 1, 2, and 1. Not just hasn't been able to secure his own buffs, and I think that's been the biggest problem. He's the aggressor. He's the one trying to invade at level 1. Turns south. SB loses a considerable chunk of whatever lead they may have tried to get with that invade right off the bat. This is the first time Reminisce can say he's got his own speed buff around his waist, and maybe we'll see him turn up because of it.
But take a look at Mr. Teep sitting at level 8. Brochacho, a Khepri support, is nearly 2 levels. Well, now only one since he just hit level 9. And now the engage is actually looking to be made onto Nickwood here in the solo lane.
The dive is on. Nickwood does have that Eagles rally, but Teep and Chilvanis just back. He's got no support coming. It's only Reminisce, but that doesn't deter Nickwood from playing aggressively. Eagles rally underneath the tower there, and Reminisce decides to jump in. So Nickwood is able to escape without, basically with the 1v4 there with the support of his tower. SB don't have to worry about that kill quite yet. Now teleport in from Nickwood, trying to defend this tier 1 as my guys, again, this seems to be their strategy. Group up. As soon as they get a lead and the clock hits double digits, they want to group up and force you to fight them.
And rightly so, trying to utilize their experience leads to the best of their advantage. I mean, when you're this far ahead, what you really need to be doing is aggressing the enemy team, because the more pressure you apply onto the map, the less time that Strictly Business has to even think about farming, much less trying to fight into you. But they still, at the same time, they're trying to just provide that little bit of presence to deter my guys as much as possible. And it was effective this time around underneath the T1 tower, but there's only so much longer that Strictly Business is going to be able to afford to present themselves on the map before my guys just decide to start engaging.
It's bending but not breaking. That's the idea there for Strictly Business. If you have to give up a buff here and there, got to give up some, mid harpies or even your own back harpies, fine. It's about just stemming the bleeding, making sure you can make it to those middle stages of the game, because like you mentioned, Taco, they just need the farm. Specifically Teep in that mid lane. Isis already not the big burst damage mage, really there more to set up, not gonna be the Zeus of the world, but when you're behind a support, you feel extra unimpactful on a character like Isis.
And especially considering that Isis, this is really the stage of the game where she's supposed to be flourishing, and she isn't having that possibility in the slightest. They're just constantly being invaded over and over again. Kovi, however, looking pretty low there.
Can't even get revived there by Brochacho. The burst damage is too good. Teep gets himself on the board. The cat still chasing down Brochacho. There's a Scarab's Blessing, and it will create enough space for him to get away for the time being. Keji has the snipes, looking to clean up the support. Isn't able to do it. He's going to be able to get away. Keji tries to roll out of the cage, but cannot do so. Wolves on point once more, but not with the bird bomb. In fact, he's tossed back, but look at the damage from Transonics, able to pick up the enemy hunter and the enemy mid laner. Wolves still trying to juke. He's 1 HP. Eagles rally over the top. Wolves and Brochacho's very, very low. Finally, someone knocks down Brochacho. Nickwood able to find him, but cannot chase down that Odin. Transonics comes through the tier 1 tower, trying to get back to safety. Maybe just trying to kill Chilvanis. Transonics never usually worried about his own life, but really ending that of the opposition. That's going to be it. My guys walk away. 12 kills now to their name.
Transonics is actually entirely too fast for Nickwood to even have a possibility of chasing down. Now trying to solo secure these oracles, but my guys are there immediately, 3-man strong, and that's more than easy enough for them to defend.
And Wolves gets out with 1 HP in that last engagement, and that's one of the things that he really has done since he moved onto the console scene and has really made a big name for himself over here with these console players. He's that one guy that always seems to live with 1 HP. And it's just infuriating because his play style is so in your face. It's so, come on and hit me, but you do, and then he gets out with 1 HP. If SB are able to secure Wolves there, they don't lose that tier 1 tower on the right-hand side because he's not able to teleport in and immediately push down that wave. And that's a lot of gold that could have been available to them. He's level 15. That would have been a big bounty for them.
Well, that was actually really smart tower aggro juggling by my guys there, because since Brochacho took the tower aggro away from Wolves, it allowed Wolves enough time to get his cooldowns up again to have the Odin shield available, and because of that, they were able to find the upper hand in the trade.
Transonics, even though he's playing AMC, still wants to flank the opposition. The ward did spot him out there before it was countered by that of My Guys. 15 minutes in, 12-5, My Guys in the lead, continuing to extend that gold lead up around 6,000 gold right now.
And immediately, My Guys, once again, grouping up around the Gold Fury. They really want to try and find the engagement here. Or should they find some success and pick up a couple of kills in this duo lane, that could spell complete disaster for Strictly Business.
Cage comes down onto Mr. Teep, has the ultimate, doesn't even get it off. Chaotic Purpose able to knock him down for the 4th time this game. Teep has just not been able to make an impact really in this series whatsoever. Good poke damage there from Covey with that Chain Lightning Detonate combination, but the meditation from Nickwood keeps everyone from Strictly Business healthy enough to try and contest this Gold Fury. But My Guys, they don't even care about the objective. They care about the kills. There's the damage. The Lightning Storm right on top. Reminisce is going to be put down by Covey with the detonate. Nickwood doing his best to stick on to the enemy mid laner. Without that Eagles rally, there's nowhere for him to go. He's going to fall in that Gold Fury pit to the hand of Transonics. Oh, and by the way, Wolves is at the enemy back camps, just doing whatever. Don't worry, everyone. He's going to get out with 1 HP. I can basically guarantee it, and he's trying to take the 2v1 up against Keji. There's the Spirit Ball, but it isn't in time to stun him up against that wall. And the cavalry is here from My Guys, all of them off that Gold Fury, and immediately there to help their solo laner. Beads forced out by the root from Brochacho. Gold Fury, 2 kills, tier 1 tower, all with My Guys' stamp of approval. That gold lead getting closer and closer to the 10,000 gold mark.
They also managed to pick up Mr. Teeps' beads, despite him being the furthest one back in that entire engagement. He had just come back, started making his way towards the fight, trying to provide some kind of support for Chilvanes and Keji, and instead, now with his beads down, he is just a sitting duck.
It has been basically all game, and still we're at 17 minutes. No second relic available to him yet. We talked about how much that Aegis could really help him out in this matchup, but doesn't have it available to him quite yet. Still level 11 on the mid-mage. You can say the same thing for Reminisce in the jungle, both level 11. In fact, only 2 members of SB have hit that 12 mark and gotten their second relics. Only the side laners, Nickwood and Keji, so far, with an Aegis and a Meditation, respectively.
And this is just incredibly rough for Strictly Business. Nearly everybody on My Guys has almost a 3-level experience lead over their enemy opposition, and really there's just nothing left for Strictly Business. They just have to forfeit the map objectives at this point in time.
Well, Nickwood doesn't want to forfeit that Fire Giant, and Strictly Business has to try and defend it, but immediately again, My Guys peel off the objective and take the fight. Nickwood falls immediately to the damage from Transonics. Great Typhoon and a better cage from Wolves. Wolves picks up Reminisce. Chilvanes next to fall. Transonics finds 2. Covey with another kill himself, and Mr. Teep has to watch as the rest of his team falls to the damage from My Guys. 4 dead again. SB, just no answer for My Guys.
Mr. T doesn't even get to watch. Wolves is just completely diving him. 0 respect underneath this T2 tower. And
wow,
before he even has a chance to potentially fall down to Wolves, the surrender is just going to come